Welcome back to U.S. Farm Report on the Marketing Roundtable. With me this week, I have Mike North of Commodity Risk Management Group and Andy Schisler of Rochag. Okay, USDA released their final crop progress report of the season. It looks like we'll get most of the crop out, but it showed Wisconsin 73% harvested, Michigan 69% harvested. Mike, you're in Wisconsin, in the heart of it. Do you think we'll have some spring harvest go on?
Undoubtedly, there will be a few fields that you see get harvested this spring ahead of planting, but most of it will still come out this fall. They're making a lot of effort to get the crop out. It's been a battle all the way through, but they'll take it out just at a little slower pace than they had initially intended or hoped for.
Andy, are you confident in USDA's latest yield forecast, or do you think we'll see either higher or lower than that?
I think it's pretty close to where it'll end up. I know that when you go through Iowa and then Minnesota, probably the last half of their yields they harvested was on the light side, where you went down towards 165, 185 bushels, and you're not seeing very much 200, but something within a bushel of what they're currently at. I would guess it would go down a little bit, maybe another half bushel or a bushel from the last report, because I think we were pretty optimistic on yield going in, and the Western Belt just wasn't as good. I wouldn't imagine bean yields change hardly at all from here, and I actually was surprised that they had went up on the last report on yield. We had a lot of yields in beans in the West that weren't all that hot, so I guess we'll see. Maybe that one reduces as well.
Do you think the same, or do you think USDA may reduce soybean yield coming up?
Yeah, I think the move they made on the last report was one where they already conceded to the fact that the yields in the West were a little bit lighter. I don't know that they're going to change it going into the November report. If anything, I would agree with Andy's assessment of maybe a half a bushel, but it won't be much. It'll be minuscule at best if there is any change.
Well, when we look at the soybean meal market, we talked about these bullish prices last week, but we have fewer head of livestock. We continue to see the livestock numbers dwindle. However, it seems like demand is still there. So why are these soybean meal prices so good and staying so strong, Andy?
It's hangover from last year's stock situation where we pretty much ran out of beans at harvest. Harvest was kind of slow. The crop was late maturing on the beans. We had a lot of loadings to get out into the Gulf and off the PNW, and that isn't totally resolved yet because all those beans, we need to move maybe more beans than we can actually move into the export market into January, and that could cause a problem further down the road because maybe some of that stuff gets rolled back into Brazil, and that's the one thing that you get your bullish price in meal now, and you may pay for it later because when we start switching stuff to South America, maybe we cancel a few of the February cargoes, and those go to Brazil. And so it could be negative 4 months out because of this high price now when we're supposed to be getting all this stuff out of here.
And that's the same story in corn right there. When you look at what's going on from an export standpoint in corn and start looking at the road ahead, we're shooting ourselves in the foot from an export front right now. As we go forward, it's hard to get that back. Now is when we're supposed to be moving that stuff out, and we're consistently hitting below the average guesses weekly. We had a standout week here last week, but aside from that, we have been under the expectations all the way through. That'll force them to take that export number down. We haven't done anything different with ethanol. We're not doing anything with feed. So, we're in that place right now where these higher prices, they came a little bit too early probably and may cause some problems down the road.
Well, not to mention that they're closing the river earlier than they ever have. So we're having trouble even getting this crop out to the river to get it down to the Gulf. What type of hangover effect will we have from that?
That's not good at all with the river closures a little bit early because they need to get those beans down to the Gulf. And like if you watch the spreads between corn and beans, if we really were in a tight situation, you'd see major inverses month to month in the spreads and beans. You're not seeing that because they're just like, oh my gosh, how are we going to deal with the CIF market in the next couple months? And then the corn market's set up where you've got pretty heavy carries in it, which says there isn't anything going to happen for a long time there. And that's negative too.
Okay, when we come back, we're going to get Mike's opinion on that. Plus, we need to talk South America. We have Mike here, so we'll hit on dairy. And Andy, his specialty is China, so we'll go into that as well. So don't go anywhere.